We have big news regarding the Thatcher Demko injury as he hints at when he will be possibly returning, and we see line changes heading into the game versus Edmonton that might surprise some fans. I'll get into this later on this episode. Before I start, I just want to say to thousands of you watching that aren't subscribed, if you're enjoying this Canucks content and you never want to miss another episode, make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and you can stay up to date with everything around the Canucks. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Canucks shake-up lines. Now, obviously, I do want to emphasize and just kind of point this out at first how important this game going into Edmonton is. The Canucks now have a 4-point lead on the Oilers, but the Oilers do have 2 games in hand. Vancouver still owns the tiebreaker, though, and the big thing with this is if both teams do finish with the exact same record, obviously they do have the tiebreaker, as I said, so the Canucks will come out victorious and hold the Pacific title, but it does get interesting on the fact that Edmonton has those 2 games. Edmonton plays Friday versus Arizona before the Saturday night showdown versus the Canucks. As you can see in the standings, the Canucks are number 1 in the Pacific, 79 games played, 48 wins, 22 losses, 9 overtime losses, with 105 points. You can see the Oilers just on their heels, 77 games, and like I said, 2 less games played, 48 wins, 24 losses, 5 overtime losses for 101 points. So, like I said, this is a big game, not only for the fact that they may lose the Pacific Trophy, but the big thing with this, as well, is just having the momentum going into the playoffs. With this, we do see the lines get shaken up in practice, which might be a little confusing to a lot of fans. Brock Boeser is obviously not practicing. He is healthy. It was more of a maintenance day, so he was just kind of held out of the lineup, but there is a placeholder in here. When you do look at this, and I'll go through this one by one, which is being line 1 or whatever line it may end up being, Tocchet, Joshua, Elias Lindholm, and Conor Garland. Obviously, at first glance, you look at this and say, hey, where's JT Miller? This line looked incredible, and that was my first thought as well. Yes, that line did look incredible, but the big thing with 2 of these players, Tocchet Joshua and Conor Garland, we've seen these 2 make any line look outstanding. We've seen 2 of them with Teddy Blueger be the most dominant third line and one of the most dominant lines in the NHL when they ran together. Elias Lindholm, even though he did look great versus Arizona, he has not been at his all-star potential. We've seen him be an all-star coming over from Calgary. Since then, he hasn't really got his footing in, so what better 2 players to get him back rejuvenated than Tocchet Joshua and Conor Garland. We do see the second line here. Like I said, these are not in order. Hoglander, Pettersson, and Mikheyev. I'm not going to touch on this one too much. I do like Hoglander and Pettersson next to each other, so getting Mikheyev back with them is just great, and I think this is going to be a perfect fit. Then when you do look at this PDG, Blueger, and Lafferty line, obviously this is the 4th line. This line does look good, and I think it's going to stack up quite well against a lot of 3rd lines and 4th lines. So it does add some depth to the lineup. And then this bottom line of Suter, Miller, with the placeholder where Boeser will be playing. I think this is a great line. Once again, we've seen Miller and Boeser play together. They do work well, and then you add Suter onto this wing. So this may confuse fans, but Tocchet did kind of speak out on this. He said, I'm a big believer in that depth wins hockey games. We're going to go this way and see how it goes. Obviously, this is ahead of the Edmonton game. This is the lines we will see. The lineup of defensemen has not changed. It's just the forwards. It seems like the power play is intact. The penalty kill, I know the power play is something that fans might want to see change. And personally, I think it'll eventually come around. But like I said, the D pairings are staying the same. It's Hughes, Hronek. You have Zadorov and Ian Cole. And then you have Soucy and Myers. Sorry about that. So it seems like everything's the same minus these forward lines. Now, when you do look at goaltenders as well, he kind of did talk on this. He said, I'll talk to Clarkey, which is obviously the Canucks goalie coach, and he said, we'll probably discuss that tomorrow between Seelovs and DeSmith getting into these games. And there's a lot to talk about here, obviously, with the line changes. What's your guys' thoughts on all this? What's your thoughts on who should start in net? Where would you want everyone playing? Do you want the power play change? What's your thoughts on the penalty kill? There's so many questions, and this is a big game against Edmonton. Obviously, talking about goalies, we do have the second topic today, which is probably why a lot of you clicked on the video, and that being Demko's nearing his return. Now, we did see Tocchet kind of ask questions about the goaltending of Seeloff's, Casey Smith, and he does talk about Demko. He's your rock, right? So when he does come back, obviously it installs confidence. It's no different when your really good hockey players are out. Now, obviously, this did leave questions on when is Demko coming back, and he does kind of hint at this. So Tocchet was saying, yes, Demko's ahead of schedule, and during this, he did hint on the fact that the 28-year-old netminder, obviously, Thatcher Demko, is targeting the home game against the Calgary Flames for his return. Obviously, this is outstanding news. A lot of people did want him back against Edmonton. My big thing with this is you roll with what you have right now. Don't rush Demko back. Get him back at 100%, and he did kind of just speak on some of this as well. With this, he said, we're in a great spot right now, and I feel very fortunate to be in the position where I am right now. Demko said, I'm excited to get back and see what games I can play. The big thing with this is he does continue on and just talking about how much he appreciates the staff getting him to this point. And like I said, he says, I appreciate the staff that's been around me and kind of matching my focus level and my determination to get back. Obviously, it takes a village. And the big thing with this is it's kind of unclear when we will 100% get Demko back. But like it says here, with the hints from Demko, from Tocchet, it seems like the game against the Calgary Flames, which would be an awesome game to win, would be his target return date. And this is a big thing as well. What's your guys' thoughts on this? Would you rather just Demko sit out, wait till the first game of the playoffs? Are you fine with Seeloff's getting another start? Would you rather Casey Smith get the start? Or do you want to just get him back versus the game in Edmonton, where it is a game that means a lot? Now, Demko did kind of just continue on talking about how he's feeling, which is the most important thing. Like I said, you don't want a goalie back that's not 100% healthy. And he says, I've played close to 50 games this year, and that was a month ago. It's not like coming off an off season where you haven't played a game in 3 or 4 months and then trying to get back. I feel great. I feel pretty much right where I was when I went down. Obviously, we've seen the injury versus the Winnipeg Jets. Getting him back is going to be huge. Like I said, this game versus Edmonton is going to be massive. Yes, we did only get 1 point from the Arizona Coyotes. If you looked at me when it was 3-1 and the way the Canucks were playing, I didn't even think they would pull out a point in that. So it was nice to see. Could have had 2 points if Hronek didn't do his little flashy fake slap shot and then try to tuck it in. But overall, we got a point out of that. When you do look at the standings, like I said, these 2 extra games the Oilers have, if they win both, it does tie. So the big things with this is you don't want them to beat Arizona, head into Vancouver, win that, and then tie it with the same amount of games, and then leave it up to the Canucks in that whole situation. So what's your guys' thoughts on this? I know it's a lot to take in. What's your thoughts on the line changes? What's your thoughts on who you would start? Is it Seeloff's? Is it Casey Smith? Or do you want Demko back right away? But with that, let's get into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day comes from TL Evans 62. He said, let's face it, we haven't had Demko for quite a while, as well as not having Lindholm or Joshua in that lineup until recently. So all the panic about the team being awful is rather silly. Once we have our full lineup, we won't be giving up easy goals, and our showing last night against Vegas, this was from 2 nights ago, is what our team can play like in the playoffs, and I agree with this completely. I've been preaching it. This team hasn't been 100%. Once we get Demko back, once we get fully healthy and the lines are all set, I'm not worried about the Canucks at all in the playoffs. I'm fine with whatever matchup it might be. Bring anyone on because I'm totally bought in. But with that, that'll be it for this episode of Canucks Digest. If you enjoyed this episode, like I said, it's completely free. You can go down and hit that subscribe button. If you didn't enjoy the episode and you want to bash me in the comments for it, completely free to do that as well. But make sure to like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Are you totally bought in the season? Because I know I 100% am. Other than that, take care.